My assignment was to destroy him, piece by piece, until there was nothing left to lose. But no one told me. He already knew that before I even appeared. I let go of his hand that time and wondered if it was the one mistake I could never fix. But before everything reaches its end, let me start from the beginning. I don't remember the last time I truly felt anything. Maybe I never did. To me, emotions were just obstacles, so I learned how to live without them long ago. People call me a liquidation specialist for Valen Group. I don't use violence. I destroy from the inside until the target collapses on their own. 12 assignments in 5 years. Not a single failure, not a moment of hesitation. I thought I understood people better than anyone, until I met him. The target file this time was thinner than I expected. Vincent, the chairman's only son, 24, no remarkable achievements, labeled as having no real value to the corporation. The reason for liquidation was simple. He was collecting something the higher-ups didn't want anyone to know. My job was to stop him before it was too late, by any means necessary. I began my approach on an ordinary afternoon, everything already prepared, a familiar script: approach, infiltrate, and start dismantling the target's life piece by piece. I sat across from him for the first time, and he looked straight into my eyes. Not the look of someone afraid, but of someone waiting for something. Before I could say anything, he placed his coffee down and asked, "How long will it take you to finish the job?" For the first time in years, I didn't know how to respond. I kept my composure and continued as planned. So what if he knew? But the strange part was, he didn't run, didn't report me, just kept living like normal. In the days after, he even started showing up in front of me more often, as if I wasn't the one watching him, but he was observing me instead. One evening, I watched him from a distance, sitting alone in a crowded cafe, staring out the window, no phone, no book, just sitting there as if he was used to not needing anyone to talk to. I realized I had sat like that many times before, not because I liked being alone, but because I didn't know what else to do. For the first time, my target didn't feel like a complete stranger. He turned suddenly when I stood too close, the distance between us collapsing into something unnatural. I stepped back immediately, out of instinct, but the feeling lingered longer than it should have. I began noticing things that weren't in his file. The way he always kept his distance from others, not out of arrogance, but because he had learned long ago not to expect anything from anyone. He handed me a cup of coffee, our fingertips brushing for just a moment, but it lingered as if held in place. He let go first, while I stayed still for a beat longer, as if pulling away would erase the feeling. One time, I saw him standing for a long while in front of a building gate, not going in, not leaving. Later, I found out it was his father's house, the place he grew up in but never truly belonged to. I understood that feeling better than anyone. Growing up in a place where your existence only mattered if you were useful. We were completely different people, yet both defined by what others wanted them to be. A week passed, and he still did nothing to protect himself. I didn't understand. How could someone who knew they were being targeted stay that calm? I decided to ask him directly one evening when it was just the two of us. "You know who I am. Why don't you run?" He walked past me as if to leave after my question, his shoulder brushing against my arm like an unavoidable accident. I caught his wrist before I could think, not to hold him back, but to keep the answer from slipping away. He looked at me for a long time before answering, as if deciding how much to say. "If you wanted me gone, I would have been gone a long time ago. But you haven't done anything." He stood very close, his hand still lightly gripping my shirt, warmth seeping through the fabric until I couldn't pretend to stay indifferent. I didn't pull away, because if I did, I knew I'd have to go back to who I was before. He was right. I had delayed the mission longer than any before, and I had no logical explanation for it, not even to myself. That night, I happened to witness him taking a call. The voice on the other end was cold and brief. He only said, "Yes," and "I understand," over and over, never once finishing a full sentence of his own. After the call ended, he stood still for a long time, phone still in hand, as if he hadn't returned to reality yet. I stood close enough to see him take a deep breath, not to calm down, but to keep himself from falling apart. I realized this wasn't the first time. It was the reflex of someone used to swallowing everything inside. And for the first time, I felt something close to anger, not because of the mission, but because of him. I reminded myself this wasn't my business. He was just a target, and feelings had no place here. But the image of him standing there alone, swallowing everything, refused to leave my mind. That night, I couldn't sleep. For the first time in years, something refused to stay quiet, not conscience. I wasn't sure I still had one, but something dangerously close to it. The next morning, I returned, intending to finish the mission once and for all. But he opened the door before I knocked and said, "Come in, I'm making coffee." I didn't understand why I stepped inside. This wasn't part of any plan I had prepared, but I still did, sat down, and for the first time, just sat there without calculating anything. In the days that followed, the line between the mission and reality began to blur. I was no longer sure if I was approaching him for work or for something I didn't dare to name. One afternoon, he placed a thick file in front of me without saying a word. I opened it and saw every crime of Valen Group documented in precise detail, down to each day. I flipped to the last page and saw my name there, along with every assignment I had carried out. Not a single detail missing, as if he had been tracking me long before I even knew he existed. "How long have you known?" I asked, my voice flatter than I thought I was capable of. "Before you were assigned to this," he replied, without looking away. He explained, "I wasn't the only one being targeted, but the final piece in his plan. The evidence had been planted into the internal system through me, without me ever realizing it. I was a pawn. That much had never been clearer. But what kept me from being angry was that he knew everything about me and still made coffee and let me in. "I don't need you to be a good person," he said, his voice calm. "I just need you to choose right, just once." I didn't answer right away, because this was the first time someone accepted me without asking me to change. Just one right choice. I didn't know if I could do it, but I wanted to try. He fell asleep on the sofa, the light casting softly over his face, making everything feel unreal in its stillness. I reached out my hand, almost touching him, but stopped, because I didn't know if I wanted to protect him or destroy everything. The order came down that night: eliminate both of us before dawn. Someone had discovered Vincent's plan, and this time, they didn't want to leave any trace behind. I had two choices: complete the mission and walk away alone, or break everything. For the first time in my life, I didn't need long to know what I would choose. I told Vincent to leave immediately, no explanation, no waiting. He looked at me for a second, then nodded as if he had always known this moment would come. For the evidence to get out safely, someone had to stay behind and hold them off. And we both knew who that would be. I didn't give him the chance to argue, because if I did, I might change my mind. "You don't have to," he started, but I shook my head before he could finish. "Go. This is the first time I'm choosing right. Don't make it harder." He squeezed my hand once, tight, brief, then turned away without looking back. I stood there watching him go, and for the first time, understood why people are afraid of losing someone. I barely had time to realize something was wrong before a force dragged everything into darkness, too fast for my body to react. When I woke up, my hands were bound, the space cold and sealed, even my own voice sounding distant. They didn't need to do much, just enough to make me lose balance and any clear sense of time. What exhausted me wasn't the pain, but not knowing how long had passed and how much the world outside had changed. At some point, I started thinking maybe everything I had done until now was wrong, a mistake I could never fix. If I had finished the mission earlier, maybe he wouldn't have had to stand in this story with me. But the more I thought, the more one small moment kept returning. Him at the door, calmly saying, "Come in." If I fell here, that moment would disappear like it never existed, and I refused to let that happen. I don't clearly remember what happened after that, only the darkness and the heavy silence. When I woke up, I was lying in a white room I didn't recognize, my hand still holding on to a trace of warmth. They said the Valen group had collapsed. The evidence was released before dawn, just as planned. I listened without feeling anything, because the only thing I needed to know was whether Vincent made it out. No one answered that question, and I began to think maybe I didn't deserve to know. Someone like me, after everything I've done, probably doesn't deserve a good ending. He stepped in slowly, stopping in front of me, like one more step would make me disappear. He reached out and touched my face so lightly, his fingers trembling almost imperceptibly, and I didn't move, because I had been waiting for this moment far too long. He sat down in front of me, didn't ask anything, just placed his hand over mine like it was the answer, and for the first time in a long time, I let myself feel it without trying to push it away. There are still too many things ahead that haven't been resolved. Guilt doesn't disappear because of one right choice, but he's still here, sitting with me, and I think that might be enough to begin. Some people learn not to feel anything because emotions are just tools others use against them. But sometimes, all it takes is one person who doesn't ask you to change, to make you want to try again. If it were you, would you dare to choose what's right even if you don't know what comes next?